We've been talking. You mentioned, yeah, that's right. You got a new coach. We've been talking for 25 minutes. We haven't even mentioned that.
Yeah.
So here's the easy take on Bryan Harsin is that it's a reliable hire. It should be at least that at the minimum. He didn't build Boise State into what it is. Other guys did that, like Dan Hawkins and Dirk Cutter, and of course Chris Peterson most recently. But he maintained the excellence. And sure, UCF's jumped up, and Houston and Cincinnati and Memphis. But man, Boise State, they have been the gold standard at the Group of Five level for 2 decades, winning 11, 12 games every year. And Bryan Harsin did the same, basically. They're going like, I forget the exact numbers, but winning 75, 80% of his games. Okay, so he comes in to the SEC. He's not real familiar with the territory. He gets the job. Other people were looking to Coastal Carolina and Louisiana, Billy Napier and Jamie Chadwell, places like that to bring in a coach. And obviously there's always the small percentage of the fan base that has just illusions of grandeur, grabbing NFL coaches or Urban Meyer or whomever. But as it stands, Ike, we'll start with you in regards to when Bryan Harsin was hired, your thoughts about the hiring, where you stood on that, and what you've seen out of him since then that may have changed your thought process a little bit.
Yeah, I approach it with cautious optimism all the time. You know, the fan in me won't let me bash it too much until I've seen something. He definitely isn't he's been a good coach where he's been, but of course, you know, coaching at Boise State is not necessarily coaching in the SEC. So that doesn't mean that it translates. So until I learned more, I was just like, okay, before I react, let me see what the guy actually has out here, right? As you know, we've seen over time, I've loved everything that I've seen. He's saying all the right things and he's doing all of the right things, in my opinion. Either that or they're doing an excellent job of selling me hope. And I really don't like being sold hope, but you know, I'll take it for right now until you snatch it away from me. But they're doing a good job of putting out all the right speeches. Like everything that they're saying in press conferences are things that I want to hear my coach say. The things that they're doing on social media and, you know, him getting up early in the morning, working out with the team, him actually leading team drills at the practice are things that I would like to see my coach do. And him talking about the way that he doesn't just want to develop football players. He wants to develop men that are going to go on and lead successful lives, in addition to him wanting to be able to develop coaches that are going to be able to coach really well. Those are all the things that you want to hear about the guy that's going to build your program. So nothing that he's done or said has made me tip back in the other direction. If anything, I've become more optimistic about the prospects of who we have as our head coach going into the future.
My initial reaction was who? Right. Like, I mean, to your point, Mark, he wasn't really at the top of anybody's list. It seemed like a hire kind of out of nowhere. So after the hire is made, you start to look at his track record and particularly his track record with developing players. And I started to get a little bit more encouraged the more that I heard from him. He said all the right things in his introductory press conference. I was very, very intrigued to hear him talk about strength and conditioning and nutrition as pillars and a foundation for a solid program. It's something that really gets overlooked. Coach Kevin Yoxel was our strength and conditioning coach, for 13 years. So he was the strength and conditioning coach for 2 undefeated teams at Auburn in 2004 and 2010, with Cam Newton. And, I think that was something that left a lot to be desired, that Harsin is going to bring back to the program. He's going to bring back, what I hear from him is he's going to bring back a certain kind of toughness that we've been missing mentally. I think a mark of a good leader is that he surrounds himself with other good leaders. And he comes out of the gate and he makes what I think is the most underrated coordinator hire of the offseason in Derek Mason. You bring in a proven SEC guy who, did really good things with Vanderbilt's defense, as head coach there, right? Before he left the SEC. And now he's back. He knows this league. He can recruit the South. I think that Harsin has surrounded himself with a great staff, right? Wide receiver coach Cornelius Williams, he's betting on this young guy to be able to come in and work some things that we've been underwhelming there. So he seems to have a plan and a blueprint, for success. And, I get asked a lot, Mark, like, what is a successful season for Auburn, in Bryan Harsin's first year? I think 8 wins is a really good season. I really do. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that. We have something that we say at the War Report: no sunshine pumping. So if you're looking for a reason that Auburn's going to go undefeated and win the national championship, you won't hear it here. But I think that he does have the opportunity to surprise a lot of people with the talent that he has, because Auburn has generally done well when nobody expects anything of Auburn. Right. I mean, we had 2 undefeated seasons when we came in not very highly rated to entering the season. So, the one thing that I think is great for Harsin is similar to 2013 when Gus came in. Right. He is not taking over a talentless team. This is not a rebuild. He just needs to, fix the mentality of the team first. He's going to do some things differently. So that starts in the weight room. Owen Pappo was quoted as saying that they're going to look like Marines come fall. They've really energized this team with the strength and conditioning program. I think that Bryan Harsin was the right choice. Alan Green, really bucked the system on this one, right? We have an AD who went out and said, I'm going to go out and get my guy. Not who boosters want, not who fans want, but the right guy. And, I think that the players seem to have bought in, which is one of the most important things. And we'll see what the result of that is come fall. But I really like the energy that he's putting out right now and the excitement that he's creating around the program.
And to your point, Michael, the comment that you made in response to me citing the lower rated offensive lineman brought in the 2021 class was, let's develop. Let's do what they do at Wisconsin. They don't bring in 5-star offensive linemen very often, and they make them NFL players. Bryan Harsin is in this long line of Boise State coaches that I think people out there would be surprised how many Boise State players are in the NFL.
Yes, right.
And Boise State is never even in the top 70 in college football in the recruiting rankings. Yeah. Like they don't bring in any 4 stars. Most of their guys on the field are 2 stars, and they're competing with Power 5 teams. So they obviously know how to develop there. It's a different deal. It's the SEC, but it's still football, and it's still high level football. So that'll be interesting to see what goes on there.